Welcome back to another video. Today we are in the Open Great League and we're going to be featuring Shadow Sandslash here with the Clefable, and we're going to pair it with a Gligar at the end. So we're the decent lead here, as Azumarill versus the Sandslash here is all about who's going to be able to bait and who's going to be able to call potential Hydro Pump here. This is potential to be Hydro Pump, but we're going to let it go. We do get the bait, ends up being the Ice Beam. This Ice Beam has a high chance of revealing that they have the Ice Beam and Play Rough version. They are forced to switch into the Sableye. We switch into our Clefable. Here we have the Shield here, potentially a return. It ends up being the return. And then we're just going to go for Meteor Mash here. Meteor Mash does a good amount of damage, but doesn't quite KO it, but it allows us to farm it down. We know that this is not the return. We tank the foul play right there. Our opponent ends up coming back in with their Clodsire, but we do have a good counter to it, and we actually switch out into our Sandslash here. When they switch into their Azumarill, we know that they are running the Ice Beam and Play Rough version, so we let it go, and that is GG's to our opponent right there. Unfortunately for them, the Sandslash was just a meat shield for all of those Azumarill attacks. Next game here, we're going to be met with the Pelipper. This Pelipper, kind of a weird situation, unfortunately. We don't really have a good counter to this thing. We're going to let the first one go. Here we built up a little bit too much, and we're going to let this Weather Ball go because we didn't want to invest a shield in that situation. Probably not the best timing. But we do let the Sandslash go. We are anticipating some kind of Swampert or Ground or Fighter, so we still have a chance here. Okay, looks like they're going to be able to get off another move. This Pelipper is doing a ton of damage towards our entire team. Oh, so they actually had the Talonflame in the back, so in hindsight, it was a really good move that we lost the Sandslash. Unfortunately, the Talonflame is a core breaker for the Sandslash and the Clefable matchup, so this is as good as it's going to get. Looks like they have the double flyer team, so they for sure have some kind of ground. Alright, so we're going to bank everything on this Clefable here. We are able to get to this Moonblast. This Moonblast will take out this Talonflame, but okay, looks like they did have the ground, ended up being an ABA flyer team. And unfortunately for us, the Shadow Quagsire here is going to be able to get to a Mud Bomb. So yeah, a little bit of a weird situation. The Sandslash probably should have thrown a move, even if we were going to CMP tie, or CAP tie, excuse me. Still getting used to that verbiage. So this is a kind of a bad matchup for us here, as we're not doing super effective fast moves. We are only going to be able to do neutral throw runs here. So I think the idea here is to try to catch a move. Let's see if we do catch a move. Okay, we're not going to catch a move on this one. We're going to try to just tank it, and then we switch out. Our opponent ends up revealing that they have a Azumarill in the back. So a Azumarill in the back with the Umbreon. That's an understandable core. We know that this Azumarill potentially could have the Play Rough, so we're going to shield here. Ends up being the Ice Beam. They are most likely running the Ice Beam and Play Rough at this point, so we're going to keep that in mind. Here we're going to try to get to another move. We do not get to another move here. We let this one go. Ends up being another Ice Beam. And then we're going to throw a move. When they switch into their Umbreon, we go for this Moonblast. Completely takes out. Okay, and our opponent end up switching back into their Azumarill, so they must not like this Clefable. We are anticipating maybe a Medicham in the back. We do take out this Azumarill, and ends up being the Guzzlord. Okay, so Guzzlord in the back here ends up being the ABA Dark team. We do have to shield the first one here. And here we're going to go for this Arrow Ace. We think we can get to 3 Arrow Aces before we can get to 2 Digs. Looks like we are going to have to tank a move here. Ends up being the Crunch. It does not debuff, and we are able to survive and we are able to get to an Aerial Ace there for the KO. So GG's to our opponent right there. Wiggles out of that situation. The ABA Dark team right there. The Clefable ended up being really good against their team, so that was a really good use of our Clefable. Next game here, let's see what we find. Ends up being the Deoxys. This is a horrible lead. We have to switch. We're going to go with the Clefable here. They switch into their Vigoroth. So Vigoroth switching here is interesting because this is not like a hard counter to this Clefable. However, it is going to be able to spam these body slams. But this is also giving us an indication that they probably have the triple pseudo fighter team. So they do throw a shield right there, which is going to allow us to potentially get to this Meteor Mash. Okay, it does get it. It does allow us to get to this Meteor Mash. Let's see if they double shield. They don't double shield here. They come back in with their Deoxys here. We're going to go for this Moonblast. This Moonblast will do a good chunk of damage. Then here, we have a difficult decision. We're going to come back in with our Gligar here to soak up some damage because we think this is a Psycho Boost and dip. Okay, there's the Psycho Boost, and there's the dip. And it ends up being the pseudo fighting team. So we're going to have to do some major work with this Gligar here because we obviously don't want this Obstagoon to be faced against our Sandslash. We go for the dig. They actually shielded that, so that was unfortunate for us. We were hoping they let that one go because they only had one shield, but they made the right call. We are only able to get to this dig here. This dig is going to be reduced damage because they did go for the Obstruct. And it looks like they're going to have the CAP. We're going to try to get to this Ice Punch here. We do get to the Ice Punch. We've taken a significant amount of damage. And now, unfortunately, we don't have enough energy to throw another Ice Punch at this Deoxys. So that is GG's. Well played by them. Unfortunate that the Obstagoon won CAP versus our Gligar there because if we had a sliver of health, given that we had our Aerial Ace there, we would have been had a small chance to beat that Deoxys. Azumarill in the lead. Good for us here. All we got to hope for is no Hydro Pump. We go for this Drill Run right here. It does a decent amount of neutral damage. Our opponent ends up throwing a move here. We're going to have to let it go. Ends up being the Ice Beam. So another Azumarill running Ice Beam player up probably. They switch out. Ends up being the Golisopod. This Golisopod here is very spammy. It potentially has liquidation, so we shield here. We're gonna be able to throw this Aerial Ace at this Golisopod. We do get a shield back. Here we're trying to race to the next Aerial Ace. They are able to get to that move. Once again, we're gonna let it go. We actually survive it and we don't get the debuff, so this is either gonna get a shield or it's gonna KO. We do get the KO, which is fantastic, but they actually end up having the Sandslash in the back there, so they are able to farm down, so they have energy advantage. And now we have to come back in with the Clefable because we're going to be able to tank one, and plus we can threaten with the Meteor Mash. This is going to be neutral. So it does get a good chunk of damage. We're forcing on some energy at this point, but they actually, I guess they're trying to go for the farm down? No, they actually lose CAP, so they use up some energy to take out the Clefable, and now we're hoping to farm down. Our opponent ends up throwing another move, ends up being the Ice Punch right here, and our opponent comes back in with the Azumarill. We're going to throw the Ice Punch after some energy, and then we're going to be able to farm him down with our Shadow Sandslash right there. So GG's to our opponent. Check out this team if you haven't already, and let us know if you enjoyed that video.